I grew up in a West Indian Caribbean household. And so the rhetoric that was attached to our upbringing was working hard. And to no fault of their own, my parents, again, who were hard workers, that's really what they embody because that is exactly what they've seen. And so I witnessed my mom working extremely hard and not taking too many vacations. I witnessed my dad doing the same things. And also my extended family, I've seen the same. Everyone seemed to have been working hard for what they wanted to obtain, whether it was purchasing a new house or purchasing a new car or finishing and completing school. I've always seen the hard work association with getting the job done. And while I don't want to at all downplay that, because I feel like it's contributed heavy to my work ethic and my ability to sort of put one foot in front of the other and get things done and execute accordingly. I'm a very type A personality, so I like to have things done and things in order. But I know that everyone doesn't operate that way, nor do they need to. It's just something that really works for me. And I wonder if it works for me because that's the only example that I've seen, working hard, working hard, working hard. But you come to a point in your life where you begin to realize that if working hard was the sweet spot or the sacred remedy, then that means that a lot of people would have already obtained what they desire. And, I say this with quite a bit of compassion because I know that there are quite a few people that are wealthy and they've worked hard for what they have as well. And I understand that. However, the greater population is typically surviving and trying to make ends meet and trying to support, different aspects of their family. And that too is to be respected. So this is necessarily not a conversation about those that are wealthy and those that are not wealthy, because I feel like everyone has their path, although there are some systemic issues in place that make things disproportionately unleveled. But this is not about that. This is more so about the working hard rhetoric that we've been fed over and over and over again in our lives. I can't be the only one that has been told, like, work hard, work hard, work hard, work hard. And so it's been embedded in our subconscious mind that somehow working hard will automatically breed forth the fruits of your labor. And that's not typically the case. And so instead of working hard, I would simply offer that you do this one thing, and that is decide. And you're thinking, Demi, what are you talking about? Decide. Decision is the catalyst that takes you from a point A to point B. When I think about someone who is committed to a weight loss journey, they have simply decided that I don't want to do this with my life anymore. I no longer want to eat like this. I no longer want to use my time like this. And therefore, they transport themselves into a new reality, kind of like a quantum leap, and they've made a decision. And that decision has taken them there. I remember being really frustrated about something a couple years ago, and I was crying. Like I had a cry session where I just needed to get my emotions out. And the second day passed and it was still weighing on me and I was still frustrated and still felt heavy. And then I think about the third or fourth day, I decided to snap out of it. I didn't want to feel it anymore. I didn't want to wake up with my eyes puffy anymore. I didn't want that experience. So I decided. I didn't work hard for anything. I just simply decided I don't want to do that anymore. If it revisits me and for some reason I need to cry or get angry, I'm going to experience and feel my emotions. However, I don't want to live in this space, nor do I want to keep carrying this burden. So I'm going to release it with peace and with love. And so be it, come what may, I decided. When I think about someone who is releasing debt or someone who says, I'm going to be a first-time home buyer, they made a decision. When I see athletes play really well, those athletes are making a decision to commit to a regimen. They're committing to waking up at a certain time, eating a certain type of nutrition, disciplining themselves, the list goes on. And so instead of working hard, what would it look like if you simply decided, this is what I'm going to do? And because I'm choosing to do this, this is what comes along with it. It doesn't need to be this muster up of energy. It doesn't need to be this mustering up of like courage and strength. It simply is a decision. So if I decide that I'm going to do X and X requires me to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then I just know that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is part of the process of obtaining X. I hope that makes sense. And I think that we have been conditioned to believe that more effort means more reward. And that is genuinely not the case. I made a reference to nature in my previous video, and that is nature flows, right? It simply responds to what's happening and it adjusts accordingly. Now, I'm not saying that you need to respond to everything that's happening around you because some things don't require your attention. But what I am saying is you want to do an audit, an internal audit of what you are forcing, what you are trying to get done out of desperation, what you think you're going to run out of time with and doing, and not really being in a space of just gratitude, acceptance, and then saying, what next? What's the next inspired action that I can take? What's the next place that I can go? What's the next challenge that I can give myself? What is my spirit and my soul calling me to do? And those things things happen when you sit with yourself long enough to have those internal audits or those internal conversations where you tune out the world and you're not engrossed in what you see online, because there's so much deception there. People are curating a lifestyle that it works for them, but then you have to ask, does it work for you? Is it in alignment with who you are? Is it in alignment with your values? Is it a core foundation of who you identify yourself as being? And if that's a no, then you want to pivot and shift and ensure that you are doing things that are really for your purpose and for your path. And how do you know that? Because it feels good. How do you know that? The decision is usually easy and it's free flowing. How do you know that? You can pick up immediate evidence of you making that decision, right? I just don't believe that you're supposed to be carrying water up a hill for the rest of your life throughout every circumstance. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you're not going to have to work hard for certain things. I'm not saying there are not going to be any challenges in life. Of course, being in this world, we're going to experience the balance of good and evil, of ups and downs, of frustration and days of flow and ease. And so just be mindful of that, right? Like, what are you attracting for that day? What's the feeling? What's the tone of that day? And then making the best decision that keeps you in a place of groundedness. Now, I'm speaking to you about it because that's how I've been able to get to where I'm at. You're looking at a former firecracker. You're looking at someone who would flip a table over if I was frustrated about something, right? Just hot, going from 0 to 100 back in the day. And I would say that the reason why in high school specifically, I would say that it's because like my teachers really cared about me because I did well in school. And so they just kind of felt like, all right, like let her breathe. But there was just sort of this feeling like I don't disrespect anybody and I don't bother anyone. So if they bring that to me, then I sort of have to come back at them with that. And that's not something that you can upkeep for years and years and years to come. And so you have to make the internal decision that you want to do better and be better and see things differently and adjust accordingly. And so again, I'm not speaking to you like I got it all together. I have worked on myself multiple times and see myself as the greatest project. And I would hope that you see yourself as your greatest project because you are in relationship with yourself for the rest of your life. And people will come and people will go, but you ultimately are in relationship with yourself for the rest of your life. So I would hope, it is my hope, that you make it the best relationship, that you make it the most reflective relationship, that you are not afraid to tell yourself the hard truths about things that you may be avoiding or ignoring. So again, less of the working hard, more of the deciding. Decide what no longer works for you anymore. Decide the beliefs that are no longer benefiting you. Decide the things that you may have grown up doing or grew up knowing or grew up being told to do, but now you're like, actually, this doesn't work for me. Be honest with yourself in that sense. You only have one life. And as cliche and corny as that sounds, it's true. And so you don't get the opportunity to sort of like, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again in a couple of years. We don't know our last days, right? And so we don't know our final day or our final breath. We only know the now moment. So respect the now moment by saying to yourself, instead of working so hard, I'm going to do this. And that thing is simply decide. Decide that you want better. Decide that you want to do better. Decide that you're going to commit to a healthier journey for yourself. Decide that you're going to be patient with yourself. Decide that you're going to be mindful about who you have around you and who you keep company with. Decide that you're going to be careful about the words that you speak and the words that you speak internally as well, your internal conversation. Decide that you're going to use your time to feed into and pour into your spirit, whether it be reading, whether it be working out, whether it be delighting yourself in nature or taking yourself out on a date or a new experience, right? Just pay attention to what you are deciding to do because it ultimately comes back to you. And so I try to stay away from those that do the blame game, right? They blame everything and everyone, and then there's no self-reflection. Self-reflection is a great gift. So is gratitude. So we want to always start with being thankful for who we are, what we have, what we've been created to be, our capabilities and our potential. And then you want to dive into like, what do I need to decide that'll be within my best interest long term and even short term? And yes, it takes time and sometimes it takes practice as well. But I think consistency is rewarded once you continue to decide to make up your mind about something that you're going to do, right? And so that consistency is what the reward is. You begin to say, you know what? I'm not settling for this today. I want this out of the day. And I would encourage you to not touch your phone and engage with social media when you first wake up. And you pay attention to what you're deciding would be the highlight of your day, like how you start your day, that you pay attention to what you decide will be the end of your day, that you pay attention and decide how you want to set the tone for the day. When I've left the house with an attitude, my day was just people reflecting that back to me, right? And so when I leave it with a more mindful mind, when I think about what I'm thinking about, and I pay attention to that, and I audit and catch myself, then the day responds to me differently. That's That's no surprise. It literally, that's how it works. That's how it works in the universe. You are making impressions constantly. And so when you give birth to a creation that you see, that you like, great. And you don't like it, great. It's all information guiding you and telling you, you want more of this or you want more of that. And you get to decide. So just decide. It's not a magic potion. It's not these 3-step processes, although I like processes. I like reading. I like self-help. I like spiritual groundedness. I enjoy sports. I enjoy all of that stuff, right? And all can be sort of implemented and applied to a lesson in life, right? So you can have some sort of, there can be some parallelness to it, but that's not always the case. Sometimes you just simply need to decide. Sometimes you don't need another course. Sometimes you don't need another book. Sometimes you don't need another thing. You just simply need to make up your mind. So make up your mind about the life that you desire, the person you want to be, and know the potential that you contain on the inside of you. And when you do that, the benefit is more ease, more clarity, more efficiency, and getting to the bottom line that much quicker. I hope that was helpful. Remember, it's not about working hard. It's about deciding. So decide what you desire and decide quickly and effectively, and life will respond accordingly. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. If you want any resources, just check the description below. I'll see you next time. I'm Demi.